Hello all. If you haven't already heard, shortly after the announcement that Ancestors The Humankind Odyssey would be coming out in August for PC and in December for consoles, it was mentioned that the game will be available as an Epic Games exclusive for a year. Now Epic does give a bigger share to developers and publishers, so this doesn't affect console players, but this is adding to the growing debate or fight, however which way you want to look at it, over Steam and Epic Games. And we have seen this with larger published games, like the upcoming Borderlands 3, The Sinking City, and Metro Exodus, just to name a few. And according to recent reports, Exodus is said to have exceeded sales expectations, so this tactic seems to be paying off for Epic, at least a little bit so far. The debate over Epic Games and Steam has been talked about so much, and people are treating this like it's a 90s wrestling show, where a popular wrestler had just joined the newest, we'll just say a certain black and white faction that was slowly enveloping the company. I'm not going to get into the differences and the companies so much, just because many gaming channels have already covered it. I want to keep the focus on what this can possibly mean for Panache and the Ancestors game. And it's important because the game will be having a staggered release, with the PC version entering the market first. It seems strange that they're not releasing all versions at once, but perhaps they're expecting larger sales from the PC community. For a good number of gamers, this may be enough to make them not get the game, at least for those who plan to play it on PC. The divisions and controversy over Epic Games versus Steam is still relatively fresh, and will no doubt affect sales for the future. Now, it isn't what's considered a AAA game. As Mr. Desolé said in a recent interview, he described it as a AAA game, a larger game from a small independent company. Panache isn't a huge studio. It doesn't have hundreds of workers or huge reserves of cash to back them up if the game doesn't go well. So the game needs to make revenue for the company, its investors, and to potentially gain new investors in the future. So a lot is hinging on this game if the company wants to succeed, and ultimately, it's up to gamers themselves to decide if they want to get the game, which will be coming out in little more than 2 months for PC and 6 months for console. That's it in the development news. Let's take a look at the Miocene Epoch, where most of the game will take place. Within the geological time period known as the Neogene, the Miocene timescale is from 23 million years ago to roughly 5 million years ago. We will be in the Late Miocene Epoch, beginning around 11.5 million years ago. It was the transition point between the generally warm Oligocene and the colder Pliocene epochs. Most changes in geological time periods have tremendous events, like mass extinctions or dramatic shifts in temperature. The Miocene, however, did not have that. Sure, temperature gradually got cooler, but it was nothing extreme. So it's almost like a Goldilocks period in the Cenozoic era. The landscape and different biomes did slowly begin to change, however. Kelp forests made their first appearance, becoming important habitats for coastal animals even to this day. The rise of many mountain ranges due to the shifting of plate tectonics changed air circulation. Ice began forming at the poles, and more temperate climates prevailed. New mountains blocked rainfall, causing the retreat of many forests. In their place, the prominence of a small but tough little plant, grass, sprung forth, creating new habitats, what we know today as grasslands. The spread of the grasslands helped develop the huge herds of migrating animals, like the wildebeest, caribou, bison, and more. Grasslands are just one of the habitats known as a carbon sink. Basically, they naturally store carbon from the atmosphere, which contributed to global cooling at the time, and the further reduction of forests. Many of the species that live today have evolved during the Miocene, and of course, there were many others who didn't make it to our present time. The first horses evolved in the Americas. Hyenas made their first appearance as well as primitive giraffes, and ancestors of the modern elephants began migrating out of Africa into parts of Eurasia. Most importantly, for us and the game, it is the time when apes evolved and spread throughout Africa and Eurasia. In Africa, trees became more spread out as grasslands expanded, and our ape ancestors, who still used trees for safety and food, needed to travel from tree to tree. In covering these ever-increasing distances and being on the lookout for predators, the ability to walk on 2 legs began to form an evolutionary trait that helped our ancestors survive. We could see for longer distances, and traveling on 2 legs consumes less energy than walking on all 4s. Bipedal motion is generally agreed as to what started us on the road to our species. By the end of the Miocene, the world's continents were more or less in the same positions that they are today, which means that Africa and Eurasia were places of interchange for flora and fauna. there was a wave of extinctions that happened in the middle of the Miocene, but that happens way before the game's start, at around 14.8 million years ago, known as the Middle Miocene Disruption. One thing we can possibly see during the opening cinematic is a meteor that makes the bird drop its fish. It may be referring to a huge impact event that might have happened during the Miocene. Now, dating the event is kind of unclear, as it might have happened during the Pliocene as well, but for the game's sake, they might have just added it. The meteor may have created the Karakul crater, which is 32 miles in length, or 52 kilometers. It is not in Africa, but in modern-day Tajikistan. But an impact from something that big may have created a huge flash visible for very long distances, as depicted in the game. Or it may be some 2001 Space Odyssey reference or something, and we might stumble upon a monolith sometime in the game. Who knows? Well, that's it for the basics of the Miocene. What are some of the other areas you would like to explore about the game? What environments or animals do you think would captivate you the most or you would like to see? And what do you think about the Epic Games move? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also, if you like this video, please click that like button and subscribe for more content, and follow me on Twitter. Thank you for all my wonderful subscribers who have been my inspiration for this journey. And for those of you who would like to support the channel more, consider looking at my Patreon account so that I may bring you more videos and in better fashion. Be sure to check in on the channel for more videos on ancestors to the Humankind Odyssey and other historical events. I'm Eric, the LonePineWolfman, and remember gamers, never stop learning.